Where does one start? Can I say it's a pleasure to rise and speak to the Regulatory Reform Bill? And I want to start by saying that the National-led government is working hard to secure a brighter future for all New Zealanders. A brighter future for all New Zealanders. Now, I say to the Minister, who gave an excellent speech just a few moments ago, I've heard that phrase, brighter future, used recently on television. Where have I? Who was that? Very good. Who, as others watching television tonight are wondering who was that they're talking about, the man that was speaking of the brighter future, Mr. Shearer. Can I say to the last speaker in this debate that red tape moves to cut more than $200 million. Now, here we have two pieces of legislation before this Parliament. The first to repeal 31 acts of Parliament. It's interesting because we've heard that repealing legislation that's not useful anymore, not used, is actually a waste of time. Well, the New Zealanders that voted last year didn't believe that, Mr. Speaker. Look at the changes in this House. Some people returned, but on the other side of the House, others left here. New Zealanders decided useless pieces of space were better to be freed up. 13 pieces of legislation to be reformed. And the best part about this reform, Mr. Speaker, is it's delivering benefits directly to New Zealanders and to New Zealand businesses, reducing red tape and compliance upon them, something that so many businesses have asked us for and so many businesses will be thankful is being delivered for them. And I say to the Honourable John Banks, I congratulate him for bringing this bill back to the House and to steering it forward. Mr Cosgrove made reference of two former ministers. One, Ms Dalziel, who first started along this road to make reform and to recognise that. The second was Rodney Hyde, who he likened to Rumpelstiltskin. Can I say even Rumpelstiltskin is laughing at that one? But there have been a number of ministers who have been involved. This is very important legislation for New Zealanders. Why is that, Mr. Speaker? Well, some of the changes that will be made will put more money in the pockets of these businesses. And what is it that businesses do? They employ people. When do they decide to employ more people? When there is additional funds available to them, when they can be more competitive, when they can be more productive. And the one thing I think we do know, Mr. Speaker, is that when businesses are bound by unnecessary red tape, then they must do other things and focus on their reason d'etre, their reason of being, which is to produce goods, to manufacture, to export them. I want to touch just on one part of this before we move on, and that's an amendment to the Companies Act. And actually there's a number of changes that are coming through this bill that will free up businesses to get on in a new environment of the internet and the way that business is done. The first will be to allow change the Companies Act to enable companies to hold shareholder meetings over the internet and allow electronic voting. Well, actually that's a reasonable thing. Let's say that there is a saving there, and the early estimates are $1.5 million. But actually, Mr. Speaker, this is about allowing businesses to do the things that they want to, and where they want to do this within the realms of the legislation, well, I think that's a good thing. And we shouldn't underestimate the saving to small companies, even an insignificant saving to some in this House, the difference that will make to them. A number of other changes there to the Conservation Act, some more sense, changes to the Statistics Act, amendments to the Film, Videos, Publications, Classifications Act. Did I hear a member of the opposition talking about that? Mr Jones? No, he isn't. But can I say, Mr Speaker, I want to commend this bill to the House. I look forward to being able to go into it in greater detail when we get to committee stage. But again, to the Honourable John Banks, well done for bringing this to the House. A very strong speech that set out the direction that this government moves towards, reducing red tape and compliance where it's unnecessary on businesses, backing businesses in New Zealand to get on and do a much better job. That's the way that we have a brighter future, not stealing slogans and making them as speeches last week. Thank you, Mr Speaker.
The Honourable. Order. I'm calling the Honourable Leanne Dalziel.
I'm happy to rise and speak to the